What the fuck is this?
I don't know because
Like,
80 years of unexplored mythos.
it was tying together a lot of really cool Batman storylines that had never been really explored.
What? I've never seen. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never seen Ben Affleck Batman.
He was
I
only
don't know if it's
Batman.
worth it. I don't know.
He was only
Yeah.
Batman in those two movies, right?
In what? In Batman v Superman
Yeah, in
and
Justice League, which I haven't seen Justice League.
Yeah, it's weird that they did that and then they never gave him a solo movie. I feel like
They never gave him a solo movie because those movies sucked dick and the guy in charge got fired.
yeah,
I I'm struggling to understand, like, everyone knew that those movies were shit,
yeah,
and then Zack Snyder got fired,
yeah,
and now a bunch of people are stepping up to be like, no, I actually like the Zack Snyder movies,
yeah,
which I think is like such a, it's so conservative of them
mm-hmm.
to like look at conservative politics. Like, nobody gives a shit about any conservative issue until something changes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody gave a fuck about immigration until like we opened up borders, and then a bunch of people were like, no, every Mexican is a rapist,
Yeah,
right? And like, this is what's going on here, where like none of these people were like ardent Zack Snyder supporters.
yeah,
That wasn't a thing. And then like you got the Snyder cut of Batman versus Superman or whatever, which was like apparently a watchable movie if you added an extra hour onto it or something, right? And now we're here where this is apparently a trend based on the vaguest fucking quote anybody has ever.
unexplored mythos off of like
First
the
of all,
Zack Snyder Batman appearances is so weird.
I
It's such a
imagine what
weird
he's
quote to
talking
say.
about. So this is so online of me to like talk about and not read the article.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
but who gives a shit? It's like the if you're talking about 80 years of unexplored mythos, then what you're saying is like you're connecting Ben Affleck to all of the Batman, like every piece of Batman media that
Yeah,
exists.
I feel like he's built off of like an already existing like Batman series of films because like that Batman, the Batman that appears in as I understand it, the Batman that appears in Batman v Superman and in like Zack Snyder's Justice League is like an older Batman.
He's a much older Batman because of the Ben Affleck problem,
Mm-hmm.
which is that like these people aren't wrong. Like, Ben Affleck did a really good job with a really shit character.
Yeah,
He just also is ancient and looks ancient.
yeah. So he like kind of
So he
has to
can't be
old.
young virile Batman,
Yeah,
right? Like his piss stings a little bit more now than it used to, and you can tell, right? The Batman who you got in those movies was like, it's pretty clear that Zack Snyder has only ever like read Frank Miller's Batman,
yeah,
and Frank Miller's Batman is the goddamn Batman, right? Like, he just kind of fucks up the ethos of that character over time.
mm-hmm.
So people were pissy with Zack Snyder's Batman because like the literal first shot you get of him is him like firing a fucking Gatling gun.
Yeah, that was
Into-
also really weird because like, why is he using?
Yeah, because that's how Batman is characterized in The Dark Knight Strikes Again, which is like a person who doesn't understand Batman's idea of a good Batman graphic novel.
Oh, so this is what the headline is.
Yeah, so let's talk about the paradox of the headline for a second, right?
Yeah,
If there's 80 years of mythos, it's not unexplored.
yeah,
We've told stories about Batman for 80 years, which is how we arrive at mythos.
mm-hmm.
You're not connecting it to those 80 years, right?
Yeah,
This is a character who has been explored in at least one monthly comic book series since Nazis were still young,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So carrying that out, there is infinite contradictory stories about Batman. You're connecting him not to 80 years of mythos. You're connecting him to very narrow slices of the way Batman has been characterized over time. Can you make a Batman movie? Yeah, sure. Can you connect it to all of the Batman lore? No.
No, absolutely not.
You
Yeah.
you maybe could in 10 years of movies. It would take a lot of fucking work though. And what these people want, I don't understand the need here to have. You can do a movie where Ben Affleck is a superhero who walks around at night shooting people and being an edgelord.
Yeah, and that's already like a Batman that exists. Like,
Yeah.
that's
But also just don't call it the Batman because
not what people think of when they think of Batman.
right. And you have that pop culture nerd media issue where like yes, that is a canon version of Batman. Like that is there is a subsection of people who have read Frank Miller's Batman and didn't stop at just the good stuff and still kept liking it for some reason,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, I guess you can make a movie for those people. You can't make it a high budget movie though, because that's not it won't appeal to a wide audience, and it never will. And your issue with Batman is like even 60 years on, we're still living in the wake of Adam West and Adam West's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And even more so, we're living in the wake of Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale's Batman.
Yeah.
So anytime you do dark, gritty Batman, people are going to go, well, it's not Christian Bale good. It's a constant struggle. Like, it seems so obvious, even from a fan's perspective, that, like, the next Batman should be your, like, brighter, blue costumed Batman.
Yeah.
And that's what people are hungry for. So then to be this, like, small, like, cabal of weirdo fans who are pushing to make a movie that will just obviously not be successful, and I would argue isn't. You have the problem of like asking a child what they want for dinner,
Yeah.
right? Because if you walk up to your kid and you're like, hey, what do you think you would like the most? A kid is going to be like, I want Hershey's bars covered in maple syrup. And you're the adult who goes, oh, that's your stomach is going to hurt. That's not going to be good for you, right?
Yeah.
But when you're a filmmaker, like that's the same thing. And this is just a really good example of an audience asking for a thing that they don't really want. Because the idea of candy for dinner is brilliant, but the reality of candy for dinner sucks.
Yeah.
And the idea of a Ben Affleck Batman movie is really good, but in reality, the two times we saw it, it sucked ass.
I don't even think like even like a brighter like Batman, but like you can do a dark Batman, but you don't have to make it an action movie. Like you can make it a noir film.
Yeah, like they did
I
with
think it'd
the
still
Robert
work.
Pattinson movie
Exactly.
that people liked.
Like-
yeah. I think you can. I feel like at this point, why do that? You know?
Yeah.
The other thing is like the darkness of Batman is a thing that you can always evolve into.
Exactly.
You
yeah.
can't take a
Yeah.
dark Batman and brighten him up,
But you can.
but you can take a bright Batman and darken him.
Yeah.
Right? And your bigger issue really is just that any Batman series is eventually going to fall into the Joker.
Yeah.
Because the Joker is the main character of the Batman mythos. And you absolutely cannot do a dark Joker right now. Like, you can't make that function.
Yeah, you can't make a Joker that's like actually evil. I want to not like actually evil, but
yeah, like you can't have him be the dark, gritty, emotional Kurt Cobain style psychopath.
Yeah.
Because Heath Ledger crushed that and will always and forever be the guy who crushed that.
Yeah.
Right? At some point, people will be far enough away that that's a thing that you care about, right? But we're very far from that. we're already seeing people push back against it by being like, oh, like Mark Hamill is the actual best Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill's Joker is just a laugh. Like that's what sells that character is that he's crazy. So I have zero understanding for why people would think a good idea right now is to make a Ben Affleck Batman movie. If this was a Batgirl situation where they have this movie in the tank already and they're not releasing it, yeah, sure, release it. You might as well release a made movie. Don't shoot this. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I don't fault these people for being stupid and wanting candy for dinner. But I would 100% fault a studio. It's the same thing with like news came out yesterday and we can pull this up too where like Gal Gadot was quoted as saying they're talking about doing a third Wonder Woman movie. And like in the James Gunn
fucking like they fired fucking Henry Cavill, but they're keeping
yeah. So I first of all don't believe that bit of news because it's from Gal Gadot's mouth.
Yeah.
Right? And if I wanted to keep my really lucrative Hollywood job, the thing that I would tell the media is, yeah, I'm staying in my right? And also if I wanted to like kick the can down the road as a producer of a movie, I wouldn't tell the star that they're fired.
Yeah.
I would wait and figure it out first.
Yeah.
But like it's really fucking weird to keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman because of that trio. Her Wonder Woman is garbage. She's so confusing to me because like she has the look to be Wonder Woman. She has the like prestige, like the air about her.
Yeah, she has like the vibe of like a Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Except for the part where she's an absolute fucking charisma black hole. Like she's done all of these movies and the thing that she's best remembered for, at least among like a reasonably plugged in audience, is the Imagine video.
Exactly.
Right?
Like that.
And then also to like be Iranian and weird about it. It's like, why would you keep this woman? Why would she be reasonable? And then like when they do fire her, are we going to get a trend that's like make the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman third movie? No.
Yeah.
Like I will admit, like I didn't see Wonder Woman 1984 or whatever because I watched the first one and I was like, damn, this sucks. I'm not going to follow that up.
I don't remember anything about the first one except she like fought through like a military base.
Yeah. It's the whole thing just like the problem with this and with these people and with this trend is like if you watched those movies, you can be a fan of the movies. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that like we are watching an entertainment war actively, right? And it's not DC's job to make movies that some amount of people like right now. Yeah. It's their job to try to gain territory in a war. And you absolutely could sequester, like, you can take Zack Snyder and you can be like, hey, bro, here's this, like, gritty superhero. And that's their thing. And that's the movies that you do.
I think Zack Snyder would do I feel like he'd do a pretty good job of, like, if someone wanted to adapt, what is it, that one comic run, The Last Night on Earth?
Yeah. Like, any of those things.
Yeah.
You can take them. You can't do, like, we're super far away from it being functional to put Batman in that role.
Yeah.
Because
at least, like, in, like, a movie
that
format,
man is, like, Batman is to superheroes what Pokemon is to Nintendo games. Right? Like, Pokemon is very popular among people who play all of the Nintendo games, but it's not, like, monolithic.
Yeah.
But if you're a person who's not super plugged in, You know Pokemon because it's a gigantic media franchise,
Exactly.
and you know Mario and Zelda, but you can't necessarily like you're not always connecting those things,
Yeah.
right? If you are a comic book person, you know Frank Miller's Batman, you know Gritty Batman, you know all of these things. But if you are a comic book movie producer, you want Batman whose symbol, like you can slap a fucking Batman symbol on a pair of shoes and it will be one of the most popular shoes sold that year.
Where's the Batman Converse collab?
They had a Batman Converse collab.
They had a Batman. Wait.
I owned them. Yeah.
What?
They did Arkham Chucks.
Man, that's so
And I had a
fucked up.
pair with it was Batman on one shoe and Joker on the other.
Oh man.
But that's what I'm like. This man he's on so much fucking media that like you can't control it, right? Probably the only superhero, like superheroes rivaling Batman are Spider-Man and Superman, right? And you can't. Spider-Man right now is demonstrating what happens when you try to like split that audience,
Yeah.
right? Where like you need to literally reinvent the fucking hero to like functionally make two versions of that work in the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
If Spider-Verse featured another Peter Parker and not Miles Morales, people
It
wouldn't
wouldn't.
be able to handle those two things,
Yeah.
right? So if you're DC, who's a lot behind in the creation of your cinematic universe, you can't have Batman be a split thing. He's not ready for multiple books yet. That is your surefire home run. Like that movie has to get up and print fucking money for you.
The only thing is they have like the characters that they would need to split that identity
Mm-hmm.
because they have like the rest of the Bat family.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you run into the creative issue of like you can't just put out a Batgirl movie yet
Yeah.
because you have as your own contained thing, you don't have that 80 years of Mythos.
Yeah.
I think you can build on it reasonably. Like you kind of could just start throwing these things out there, but you should take the time to build them organically.
Yeah, because you need to develop Batman to a point where like a Batgirl could exist, like in that universe.
Yeah. My main response to these things is just that like you create a Morbius issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like they re-released that movie because they thought people were into it. They thought I feel like the narrative that people have of Morbius is like, oh, the producers didn't realize this was a meme
Mm-hmm.
and thought people were like being dead ass.
Yeah.
They didn't think that, right?
Yeah.
Because they watched the fucking Minions movie. They knew it was a meme. They just thought, oh, people will pay money to go see this for the meme.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen because the audience wasn't even invested in the meme,
Yeah.
right? Like it was always a passing thing that was going to fade. Right now, a bunch of people are throwing temper tantrums about like DC making these big bold changes. And it's fucking obnoxious. Because if the studios listened, like half of the people tweeting shit about this didn't go see these movies.
Mm-hmm.
These people are not watching these on Max on the weekends.
Mm.
They are just little bitch baby conservative people who saw things change and went, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that it's different now. Like, why didn't you follow up on this? It's fucking annoying. A Ben Affleck Batman movie could be really good. One that has this fucking vague direction of like this person for whatever reason just went like, oh, this script was so good. Why would I believe that? What other Zack Snyder produced and directed DC movie had a good script? There is a scene in Batman versus Superman that is critical to the plot that involves a jar of piss. I can't remember if it's the Senate or the Supreme Court, but one of them gets handed a jar of piss. These scripts are trash. Ben Affleck, who, to his credit, like gave the character everything he had,
Yeah.
cannot make a fucking good characterization out of these things.
Yeah.
So hire him if you want, but pulling on 80 years of Mythos, this is all bullshit fan service for little weird people.
I think also to like expand on like the 80 years of Mythos line, it almost sounds like it was planned to be another multiverse film,
Yeah.
right? Like it sounds like almost exactly like what I think The Flash is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is like kind of like a really obscure like reference type of movie where we have like Nick Cage's Superman because he would only understand that they had intended to cast him for a Superman film in the 90s or something like that.
Yeah. All of these weird little, and it's those things are all just kind of endemic to Zack Snyder's DC. Was this like casual nerddom? I was thinking about this. Nobody will watch this video, so it doesn't matter that I name this. But there's a comic book YouTube channel called Owen Likes Comics.
Yeah.
And at least half of the videos from the past couple years are just him being like, here's why this comic book artist sucks. Here's why this run sucks. And it's like, bro, do you actually like comics?
Yeah, it's like, why
like, it doesn't seem like you like it.
Yeah.
You're just shitting on it all of the time.
Yeah.
Right? And like, you have this, I feel like people tie their identity so much to like these weird media communities now that it's like you're not really like, you're not demonstrating love for these things. You're just like kind of obsessing over them, or you're like casually interested and then buying a bunch of merch to look like a person who like cares.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm obviously a weird in between where like, if I'm not immediately interested in these movies, I'm just not seeing them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have absolutely zero interest in The Flash, so didn't see it and won't.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I am weirdly the type of person who a Nick Cage cameo should appeal to, because I have a lot of background knowledge about
like
these things.
Weird,
right? And I care about them. But that feels like such a fucking, it's so deeply social media bait.
And like such like a pandering move.
Yeah. Like, and it's clear that a lot of what happened in these movies was just like, ooh, let me get this clip so that people like tweet out this fun fact.
Yeah.
Like, it's so marketing pilled. Why? Like, comparing this to the reason that I think it's obvious that a Zack Snyder Ben Affleck Batman movie would suck dick is because of like how good Peacemaker is. Like, the Peacemaker series has so much heart that it took a character that nobody cared about. Nobody cared about. And an actor who, I love John Cena to death. I'm like top 10% John Cena fans, like still bumping The Time Is Now regularly, right? John Cena had no right being in like a good movie. Right? The Marine is like okay. Yeah. The follow-up Marines suck. But James Gunn and John Cena just put so much fucking heart and actual care into those movies that they were amazing, versus what we had seen represented from DC before. And I feel bad lumping Ben Affleck into this because like the dude really wants to be involved in comic books. Like, yeah. He wanted to do the Daredevil movie. Like, you can tell that he actually kind of gives a shit.
Is interested.
Yeah, and so did Henry Cavill, right?
Henry Cavill for sure.
But Zack Snyder is just like chasing shit from when he was 15
Mm-hmm.
and approval from internet weirdos.
Yeah.
It's not artfully done, it's not carefully done, it's not passionately done. So sure, people can say that this drew on 80 years of Mythos. The only thing I can assume that quote means, based on everything that we actually saw out of them, is that like Zack Snyder saw one tweet with a panel from a Silver Age Batman comic,
Mm-hmm.
and then like threw a little Easter egg into the movie, hoping for people to quote tweet his movie.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, that's my full reaction to this random and annoying Twitter trend. Just like, people need to stop being weirdos. We could make this like really aggrandized and talk more about how this is obvious conservative behavior and stuff like this. Like, you should feel shame, I think. If you're a person who like first of all, using a hashtag is gross.
Mm-hmm.
But second, like, if this is a genuine thought process that you have in relation to anything, what you should do is you should take it and reflect on it, because this stuff leads to the downfall of societies.
Yeah.
It's such a weird little fucking temper tantrum.
To be like weird and outraged over
Yeah.
the fact that we're not getting a.
It's not a
Another
thing that
Ben
needed
Affleck
to be
solo
voiced.
movie. Yeah.
I have spent a decent chunk of the last couple of years of my life in weirdo dive bars.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens every time you're in a dive bar is there's a dude doing shit like this. Like, he's loudly going, why didn't they give him at least a fucking chance, dude? Like, like they said it was going to fucking pull on 80 years of unexplored mythos. And you know where that guy is? He's at the end of the bar, not talking to anybody in particular. The bartender is smiling at that guy, going, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. Do you need anything else? Yeah, okay. Because that guy's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's how you do a video.
Yeah, I guess. Apparently.